Hey, what's up guys, Rep here. So the last two videos have been about this, so let's make it a trilogy. We have another round of Nijisanji related drama to cover today. Let's face it, the last couple of months have been brutal for the Nijisanji EN branch, and here is likely their response to these issues, and that is opening up public auditions for Nijisanji EN. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you can throw your hat in the ring and apply to become a Nijisanji EN liver today. Now, of course, looking at the past couple of months, including the several graduations and terminations within their agency, this is not too surprising. They're trying to fill in the void and also try to kickstart that stock that keeps dropping by introducing perhaps a few new VTubers to their EN branch. Now, of course, a lot of people are mocking this situation, basically acknowledging that this might be like signing a deal with the devil, or people saying this, why would anyone, after everything they've heard, referring to the past couple of months in particular, because there has been a lot happening. And if you are someone who is considering applying to be a Nijisanji EN liver, there are things you should be aware of, the type of experience you might have with that agency. And I think from the past couple of months alone, we can get a pretty good framework of the potential issues you might face. And I think a lot of this tracks with the experience of Selene/DokiBird as she has exited that agency. So let's begin here. If you are a Nijisanji EN liver, despite being very successful, you still might have issues with management stifling your projects and randomly cutting them off and giving you a hard time. In fact, this might have immense effects on your mental health, which they might ignore when they terminate you publicly against your own wishes and sharing information against your own wishes publicly in a termination announcement only a month after you attempted to take your own life. In fact, they will do this without any regard of your current mental state because they want to make some sort of a public statement about your termination. In fact, during that vulnerable state, you might see some of your Nijisanji EN former agency members come out in a joint statement and throw you under the bus for their own self-interests, to the point where you also discover in that statement that private information isn't really respected within the agency, and random livers in the agency might see your private information if it is somehow shared with them by management. In fact, in joint statements like this, you'll have former agency members that you shared time with coming forward and saying that your experience is invalid. They will say that the harassment you're reporting is not true because they just feel like it. In fact, you'll have agency members just straight up say, even though you claim you were harassed, there was no harassment here. And when you leave, despite being one of the most successful and productive and hardworking members of the agency, you might find them saying that your termination was negligible, despite the fact over the next couple of months, the stock of the company will drop every single day to the point of reaching an all-time low as we speak. And of course, hard work doesn't really seem to be bolstered too much, and you're kind of on your own because, as DokiBird claimed, as Selene in 2023, despite earning over $200,000 in revenue, she did not see a profit because she was spending her own money to fund projects not only for her own channel, but for Nijisanji as well through collaborative events with other livers. And that's not really a surprising thing if you look at the Nijisanji contract. They do very little to help out their livers. This is something we know because these contracts have been shared by former members over the past couple of months. Included in that contract, you'll have a very hard time making up for those costs of doing business because when it comes to merch sales, you're only going to get 2%. And if you're someone trying to join this agency, that's a pretty big thing to be aware of. You're only going to get 2% commission on merch sales. And on top of that, as merch companies also pull out, apparently conventions are going to be a very hard time for a potential Nijisanji EN liver because some conventions are already determining that a Nijisanji EN liver is not conducive to a positive convention experience for everyone attending it. Now, of course, at the end of the day, guys, what's most important? Being a part of the Nijisanji EN family. They'll say it over and over again. You're a part of the family. What could be better than that? I mean, being a part of the Nijisanji family, come on. Well, of course, you're a part of the family unless you're white, of course, or a man or straight, or God forbid, all three, because you might have some issues with some of the livers within the EN branch. But anyways, that's some of the dangers you might face if you are someone joining Nijisanji EN. And of course, all of that lecturing aside, at the end of the day, people are grown adults. They can make their own decisions and apply to whatever VTuber agency they want. If they want to apply to Nijisanji EN, that's their decision. But of course, we know that if someone wiped out the name Nijisanji and listed off everything that they did over the past couple of months alone, if someone looked at that and let's say it was a random small indie or a small VTuber agency, people would chastise them. No one would apply for them because they would see the things that they did and they would say, no way am I joining that agency. But given the fact their name is Nijisanji and that carries a lot of clout, people will overlook everything that's been happening and apply anyways. And that's not surprising because they want to be a part of Nijisanji and the benefits that come with it. And of course, there's a lot of potential problems with joining not only any agency, but Nijisanji in particular, but there are positives because there are some things people will look at and say, hey, that is such a positive for me that I am willing to overlook other things. And there are genuine positives to joining VTuber agencies, generally speaking. And this is something that Dokibird touched upon in a video we're going to watch a few clips from because she probably more than anyone knows the experience of being both a successful agency VTuber as well as a successful indie VTuber. So at the beginning of this clip, Dokibird talks about the aspect of luck. Luck has a lot to do with your potential success, not only as a VTuber, but as a content creator. As an indie, luck has a big role and a very specific role, just breaking out, okay? As someone who has had a lot of luck over the years, there's things that you really don't have control over that will boost you eventually. It is true that you can be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't catch some lucky breaks, you might not break out of that kind of starting zone of your career. And as someone who has been around here and, like I said, had some lucky breaks, there's things that can happen, like the algorithm just favors you for a period of time and really exposes your content, or a certain video, for whatever reason, blows up because of the algorithm and gets a lot of people on that one video and then checking out your channel. Or you have a larger channel react to you. Or let's say you might even get canceled for stupid reasons on social media and people rally behind you. A lot of these things you don't have control over and it's just luck. Luck is definitely a factor. But as Dokibird talked about earlier in this clip, and we're just kind of cutting through it a little bit for time's sake here, she talks about how the luck aspect is different. The luck aspect is getting into the agency, applying and getting in, because there's so few spots and so many people applying. There's a lot of luck there, okay? But once you get in, you pretty much eliminate the luck aspect because you have a built-in audience and a lot of things are just stable for you. So let's listen to this.
Obviously, I'll be going over like why would you join a company and about how, and also like things to be aware of. And like I said, you get an instant audience base. So the audience of the company and of the VTubers that debut before you will be there for your debut, obviously, because...
And I can't even begin to tell you how much of a boost it is. So like whether it's a Nijisanji Live or Hololive or what have you, a lot of them will have upwards of 100 or even 200,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel or hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter. And I'm telling you, starting off with that block of people is an insane boost because not only is there a large audience already built in, they are a fresh and engaged set of an audience. And I can't tell you how important that is because as someone like me who's been around for like 7-ish years on YouTube, I have a lot of inactive accounts that are currently subscribed to me. So my numbers are probably a little bit inflated. There's a lot of people who are inactive. And having fresh, active people, you're going to get a lot more out of those people than a larger group of followers that aren't as active or lost interest over time or moved to a different account or what have you. So having all of those people, that 100 or 200,000, they're going to be super into what you're doing. And the way that these debuts are hyped up, they are really ready to check you out and learn more about you, as she'll talk about here.
You might not be the first person there. You know, it might not, if it's not a new company that you're starting, there is already the branding involved. So you're going in with like an established audience And because of that, that's why a lot of people want to join. If you're nobody, if you came with 0 viewers, then of course, like, having suddenly on your debut, like, I don't know, 20 plus viewers, if you come from 0, 20 plus, 100, 200, 1,000, that's a lot from what you were used to. It draws a lot of attention.
And I can't again stress to you how much people would give to have a boost like that. That is why people will overlook everything going on with a company like Nijisanji and join them, because they want that boost right from the start. Nobody wants to debut their VTuber model or their career or whatever in front of 3 people. It's just, it's difficult. And a lot of people don't respond well to that, especially if they've invested a lot of their own money into a VTuber model or what have you. Having that instant boost is just, you can't describe the importance and value of that. Anyone would give for that advantage if they could, without the consequences that might come from joining an agency.
And it's your job to make a good debut so you can keep the attention of those people that watched you. They don't know anything about you, but they're all here to be there to watch you. They know zero things other than what you've given out, what your skin suit is, and like what your personality is like on Twitter.
Yeah, that's typically why debuts are so hyped, because a lot of agencies like Hololive, they only give you like the smallest portion of their personality. They give you a teaser, so you want to go to the debut stream to check out what's going on and more about them. And it makes it super, super hype. It's a formula that's always going to work. And yeah, that's something that a lot of people would love to have if given the opportunity. And of course, that pressure isn't for everyone, right? There are some people that is terrifying. To debut in front of, let's say, tens of thousands of people potentially, that terrifies some people. They wouldn't want to deal with that pressure. And that's why some people just don't want to join an agency like that, because they couldn't deal with the stress. And as we've talked about, there is unique pressures with joining VTubing agency, especially if you're joining like vShoujo or Nijisanji or Hololive, the big ones, where there is going to be a microscope on you forever. And again, like I was talking about this in yesterday's video, there was some surprise on my behalf that people like Kuro from vShoujo was surprised that people are speculating about some of their vague tweets. Well, of course they're going to. You're someone in vShoujo. If you've been in the agency, especially like someone like that who's been in 2 agencies, you should know that people are always going to be trying to figure things out, guessing on things, speculating about things, diving deep into things, looking for more than there probably is. That's just a part of joining these things. And that's a pressure a lot of people really can't deal with all the time. But let's move on to another reason she lists for joining companies, some of the benefits.
Another reason why is because you get a group of people to collaborate with instantly. And this is one of the things that I've learned as an indie, how it's very difficult as an indie is to find a group of people or a collab group that you want to do collabs with.
Yeah, I can't stress to you enough, collabing as an indie is really hard. If you guys watch my streams or even my videos, you know I don't collaborate hardly ever. I could count on one hand with the amount of people I've collabed with. I just personally, I don't know, especially with streams, I'm just more comfortable by myself. The only person I really collaborate with is the person I'm collaborating with for the rest of my life, and that's my wife, okay? I'm just more comfortable with her, and that's just the way I like to do things. But overall, like trying to find groups to collaborate with is very difficult to seek out, and a lot of people, they're going out there basically taking a chance on a lot of people when they collab, and they're often surprised by the people. Maybe the vibes aren't right, or you deal with people who are really unprofessional, or they just don't have a very good way of carrying themselves in a collaboration. They're not trained properly, or they don't have boundaries, or they're not very cognizant of where they are and what's going on with the stream. When you're in a professional agency, you're dealing with a lot more proper talent who are much more informed and specialized to do a collaboration with. And they have a joint interest in having a good collab. It's not just good for both of your channels, it's good for your agency as a whole. And that's something that's really big.
And be able to like organize something really easily in general. So in a company, you can literally just ask anybody. Like, there might be a server or something, and you can just be like, at everyone, I want to play this game. I want to play this game, and I need people to play there. I need 3 people. And that is why one of the reasons why people want to join. They want a sense of community, and they want a group of people to be able to play games with, or like to be able to...
I've seen people very recently even talk about like the fact that like there's many layers that will make it difficult to even find a collaboration based on a game, because there's a lot of clickiness too in the indie scene. And yeah, there might be cliques within an agency. We've seen that. But overall, you guys have a joint interest and you would want to work with each other. And it's a little harder to ignore each other or to basically blow each other off in a collaboration request. And it's something that's very important to have that built-in group of people to work with. But here's one last thing I want to highlight in her portion of this clip here.
And the number reason is if you're a singer or a dancer. So the reason why I put that is that it's very beneficial for if you have talents in singing or dancing to work for a company. And because of that, because the reasoning is that a lot of the biggest events that VTuber companies do, it doesn't matter how big or small, are concerts and like singing. And if you're talented at singing, you will get picked to do concerts. If you can sing, you'll get those opportunities to perform around the world for fans. Since you're under a group, you can do big group concerts with lots of other singers, and it's much easier to set up versus as an individual.
Yeah, like imagine trying to set up a music event or some sort of a concert by yourself. You pretty much can't. It'll never have the budget, it'll never have the production value that you'll get from a agency concert event or something like that. We see events with all of the big agencies. They are a huge deal and they're a huge promotion for the agency and all of the members included. And also it takes off pressure too. Like if you're one of 15 people in this concert, there's a lot less pressure on you than one person trying to run an entire show. So that's something else that's a benefit. As you can see, there are very big benefits potentially for joining an agency, but that is something that comes often with other costs, and that's something we can talk about. Now, in previous videos, I've talked a lot about the benefits of being independent, and I think just doing it very, very generally, the benefit is having less rules and guidelines to work on. You're much more free, of course. You still have to deal with the rules of places like YouTube or Twitch or other platforms, but generally you can stream whatever game you want. You can talk about whatever you want. You can collaborate with whoever you want. You're a lot less restricted. You also don't have to give away portions of your revenue to management. You don't have to deal with the possibility of terminations or things like that. There's a lot of freedom that comes with being an independent VTuber. And personally, I would always want to be independent. That's always been my thing. The only thing that's ever been really in a lure for me is the possibility of some protection when it comes to your accounts. Whether it's like on YouTube, getting strikes, you could get it much more quickly dealt with if you have agencies who can contact actual humans at YouTube, or at least have a better chance than you. But overall, that's not enough for someone like me to want to consider it. But again, at the end of the day, people have their own preferences. And when it comes to agencies, I know it's a very good fit for a lot of people. But overall in this video, talking about Nijisanji EN in particular, there's a lot of things to consider. You know, I get the benefits that are there, but also take that with a grain of salt and keep in mind all of the things you might be overlooking in your excitement for joining Nijisanji. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.